Hi, welcome back to the Jac and Glen channel. I'm Jackie.
And I'm her husband, Glenn.
That's what he is, my husband, Glenn.
And before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our review.
That's right.
Today we're reviewing Ready to Love Reunion Part 2.
Part 2.
Part 2. Man, where do we want to start on this reunion? Where do you want to start?
I don't know. Let's start with the fact that we'll point this out real quick.
Okay.
So Frank wasn't there.
Yeah.
And of course we still know Shiloh.
Still no Shiloh.
But
we come to find out that Frank had another engagement that he had to go to. Frank had a wedding to attend, and so Frank wasn't there to answer any questions, anything of that nature. So he had to attend the wedding of his friend. We do want to start. I'm gonna start with this one. I'm gonna start with Corey.
Okay.
I'm gonna start with Corey. We see Corey. They talk about Corey and some of his relationships and some of the things, his relationship with Courtney and leaving the notes all over the place. And then we come to find out that there's another part to this relationship. Well, there's another person involved. Yeah,
but the first thing we find out is that Corey's thing is he's a hopeless romantic.
Yeah.
And he knows he goes over the top, but he goes over the top because that's how he shows his love. He said, you know, my mom and dad, I look at their relationship, I want somebody to be like that. And so I just do things that might be too much over the top. It might come across fake to people, but like I really mean it. Even if I am doing the same thing for 2 and 3 people.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people. King of copy and paste.
Yes. Yeah, and you know, they showed the clip where he got emotional talking about, I don't know why I do this, and Tanika's
after he got eliminated.
Yeah, Tanika's like, you know, where's that coming from? And again, so basically he was saying, you know, I'm trying to win the approval of these women. Like I live my life trying to get people's approval, and that's why I go like I do. And he got emotional on the set too. The first cry in the vignette from the show, that looked very fake. not that the reunion one didn't, but I was like, okay, Corey. And so the cry on the reunion was, I cried because in that moment I came to a realization. And so, again, I'm looking back like, oh, wow, yeah, I did that.
Still fake. Bro was faking. I'm going to call it what it is, man. If you don't think he was faking.
Oh, I didn't say they weren't fake. The one in the vignette was a lot faker.
Yeah. I mean, even people backstage that was watching was like, y'all see this? y'all see this dude? You're like, you know, I'm not saying he doesn't have those emotions or feelings, but again, I don't think the tears in this case was necessary. It wasn't like, well, he just was he was using fake tears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so you know we found out that you know Corey had another love interest that he didn't tell anybody about, or people didn't know. Not too many people knew about.
Right. And
we found out that Corey and Tasia was, I don't know if we're gonna say talking, having interactions. Corey was calling. He was basically saying other guys were sleeping on Tasia. That he was the one who called out like, look, Tasia's the one, y'all. Tasia's the one. And Tasia's the one. And he got called out by the other boy. He was like, yo, it's Corey. You know you're lying now.
Yeah, Walter was like, you know, all of us, and I'm going to go back in a minute, but Walter was like, you know, all of us in deliberations was like, Tasia's a good girl, you know.
She was never anybody's
cool folks. Yeah, she wasn't the top or the bottom. She was in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, even Phil was like, bro, I was with you, but I'm going to have to call you out on that. That is not true. But yeah, so what I wanted to say is, okay, so Tasia was one of the people he was dating. I think it's a twofold thing for why we didn't know. Because we know from the show, they like to have them, and we know from interviewing other people. And one of the other contestants said that too. The producers will try to ask you, okay, who's your number 1? Who's your number 2? Like they try to pin you down to 2 or 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
And so it may have been that, and they can't show everybody's interaction. So it may have been that, you know, they knew, but they didn't show it.
Right.
Because they didn't want him to have, because he he already had, you know, a couple. He had Courtney. He had Mumeen. You know, so they didn't want to throw anything else in the mix. Then it was also a mix of, you know, he was doing his own little side thing, not necessarily along the lines of the show. So that's when she was like, I've been waiting for Corey to speak up all night, to tell the truth all night. And Tanika was like, what, girl? What?
Yeah.
She's like, was it a third party, a fourth party? What was it?
Right.
Speak up, Corey. And he was like, hona.
Because you had Mumeen and Walter, Corey and Mumeen, Corey and Courtney, and then you threw Mumeen in there. I guess, I don't know. I mean, you threw Tasia in there, it'd be a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, but he was feeling it. Corey was feeling everybody. So it's like Corey had his, again, like we saw, Corey had his, he had all his fillers out to see who was going to, you know, reel him in. And
yeah, so yeah, Tasia was like, you know, what was it, Corey? Yeah. And he was like, well, see what it was. See what say. Like, she was like, it's a yes or no question. He never gave a yes or no answer. Everybody was like, man, come on, bro. Come on. Even Tanika was like, Corey. Right. Like, just say what it is. And in the end, Tasia's thing was, you had your chance. She said, I don't do second time arounds. She was like, ask anybody I dated. I don't date the same person twice. So yeah, that's done.
That's dead.
that's over with.
But you know, but we talk about even Mumeen was like when dealing with Corey, she was like, I always asked him honestly, and he can never answer any of my questions up front. He always dodged around and went around the bush and went around the tree, or never really answered any of the questions. And that was one of the reasons she like, you know, why Corey had to go home, because he could never answer anything honestly, because he was feeling Courtney and he was feeling Mumeen, and he was bouncing between everybody and not telling anybody the truth.
Right.
You know,
and that was the problem.
Courtney was going to see his family, and Mumeen couldn't see. You know, just a whole bunch.
But Tasia got the message about meeting family.
Yeah.
And everybody got the message.
Everybody got the message except for the ones that he really was invested in. Bro was all over the place. Bruh, Corey. Come on, bruh. Come on, bruh.
So while we're there, we brought Tasia in. You know, they went through Tasia's, you know, little journey. And again, same thing. It was like, she was never anybody's top, but she wasn't in the bottom either. It was like midway. Like, guys was feeling her. But when she had the opportunity to, you know, to connect with people, with how she went on the date with Phil's friend, you know, it's like, dang. You know, I'm here with somebody else, and they trying to take over. I can't really even shine. Right,
yeah, because Shiloh was there, and Shiloh kind of cut her off and took over the whole situation. And to see it, and it was kind of blindsided. She didn't know. And she was with, like, me and Phil was connecting here. We was doing something here, and what's Shiloh doing here?
Yeah, so she said, you know, it was a lot of intercept in, you know, the connections that she had. And I think she probably just felt like, you know, I didn't really get my chance. You know, you say I'm not ready to love, but I am.
She knew her worth. She like, I want to keep it real. She knew that she knows that she wants to keep it real, and she is one who can keep it real. And so that was the issue there. She said, you guys didn't like nobody real.
Right.
It didn't feel with anybody real. Another part that was, you know, that we saw, which was kind of something that you pointed out, or I think everybody saw it pointed out, was with Naeem and Zadia. Wrong point, wrong time. There was something about couples who made it, right? A couple who was there, and I can't remember if it was Naeem or Zadia. Like, we're still a couple.
It was Zadia.
It's like, we're still a couple.
You know, they were talking about people finding love and you know, couples that got matched up, and she was like, well, you know, I found somebody, we found somebody, you know, basically, like, can we talk about that? And we know on these reunion shows, it's like, you know, it's a process of the topics that they're going through. Like, they're going to get to you. But right now, we're not talking about that part. We're talking about something else. And so she, like, threw it out there, like, pick me, type of thing. And I was like...
They wanted their story, but again...
They will get to that.
But I guess... And just for me, and I like I said, I have nothing against nobody on the show. I don't know anybody on the show.
Right.
But my thing is this: you didn't choose him on the show.
Because they went through that whole thing too.
He was your second fiddle. right?
Yeah.
You wanted Dante. You were talking about Dante, and you know, and so when Dante went south, when he told you that he wanted to deal with Iesha, oh, I was gonna choose you. Well, if you were gonna choose him, what happened to my man Naeem? No one ever answered that question, right?
Right.
If you were gonna choose him, right, then what was Naeem? So now it looks like whether he was second fiddle or not, he might have been your number one.
He absolutely was second fiddle.
Right? But she said he was number one. There was some scenes where she said he was number one, that she was feeling Naeem, or Naeem was feeling her, right? And so if you were going to choose Dante that night, that means Naeem was 2. And then when you started pointing at Dante's face and they eliminated you, right?
You only picked Naeem for sure.
Yeah.
Because the other person didn't pick you. Because
Naeem still wanted her, regardless of the faults, the flaws, whatever he see, what he didn't see. And again, I understand Naeem. Naeem said, none of that stuff happened to me, right? I'm going to give him a pass, right? Because we give Sydney a pass. Because Sydney said, well, that's Shiloh, that's you. None of that stuff happened to you. None of that stuff that you say Phil did to you has happened to me. So I'm still being Phil. So I'm going to give Naeem a pass, right? Because she hasn't pointed, as far as we know, pointed up in Naeem's face, whatever the case may be, and did all that other craziness. So I'm going to give Naeem a pass on that because it hasn't happened to him, and he's going to keep moving with Zadia because it hasn't happened to him. Not that he hasn't seen bad behavior. Not that he hasn't seen it go off. He may like that, but the pointing the finger in the face, he hasn't that. But you know one thing I like, but go ahead.
I was going to say, but the other thing that irritated me about her pick me, or what we found somebody is, obviously, y'all are sitting there dressed alike. You know what kind of simp he'd have to be to not be with you and be dressed like you?
He already stood up for you, right?
It's obvious.
He stood up for you. And now, it could be out of order, and we don't know. But at this point, based off the chronological order that we saw it, this is after the fact that he stood up for you. So anybody who has any kind of sense would know that you two are still together, right? That you two have found love or like or whatever case may be together. So I wanted to get to that point. You know, but Dante said him and Zadia had a conversation. She said she apologized. He apologized to her as well. And she admitted, you know what? I should have kept walking out that door.
Right.
I should have never came back, because when I came back, oh crap.
She said all of this wouldn't have happened if I had just kept walking.
But I kept walking.
If I had just kept walking.
But here you go. You can't keep walking because that's your nature. You can't keep walking because that's who you are, right? You can't keep walking because that little guy on your shoulder said you better go ahead and give a piece of your mind. And you can't override the self-consciousness or whatever inside of you who's telling you to do this. If you could override it, you wouldn't have this behavior. You'd be like, you know what? I don't want to get too deep. Sometimes you have to cast down every evil imagination that enters into your mind. So you at the point in life and spirituality that you could not, at that point in time, because I don't know where she's at right now, but in that point in time, she couldn't cast down that thought to not give him a piece of her mind. And she owned up to it, so I can't knock that. She owned up to it. It is what it is. Boom. Yeah,
she said it was not the best behavior, that's for sure. I shouldn't have acted like that.
But that's
and the funny part that I thought when they played the clip and they talked about it, Dante said, you know what? I was so busy into my food and the fact that she had stormed off, and then she came back and I'm trying to eat my food.
Trying to eat my risotto.
He said, risotto. He said, I didn't even hear her say I was going to pick you. Yeah. He said, I didn't even hear that. He said, and it didn't matter at that point because I was like, yeah. I mean, you're mad.
You're mad. I'm already into Iesha. We're good. You know, like I said, he talked about Iesha. They went through their journey, how they didn't connect at first at the beginning. Everybody tried different people and all this other stuff. But when they went to the retreat, it was Iesha and Dante that they caught up. They felt, I don't want to say lust, or they started liking each other, like each other, right?
They started liking
each other from the when they was cooking food for everybody to the butt massage, right? To all.
Why do we have to just make it a butt massage? He massaged more than her butt.
Because everybody was focusing on her butt. To the as Tanika said, the happy ending, right? For the butt. You see what I did there? That's what she said. Not me. All right, but again, from all that it was going on, and they went through their journey, and which was a good journey for the show. Let's be honest. This could be one of the best Ready to Love success stories.
Right.
From beginning to end, if it continues to flourish and stay out, and he don't have any more kids on the way. like other people that was supposed to be a success story. But I'm just saying. So, has to keep it there. Yeah, I went there. It's alright.
Yeah. Ultimately, you know, in talking to Dante and Aisha, yes, they're still together. Dante and Iesha both admitted, you know, we've had some highs and some lows, but it's about getting through the highs and the lows. And, you know, they're still feeling each other. If you were on Instagram last night, you saw her cooking and everything for a whole group of people from the show. And, you know, they're still really feeling each other. And she has cooked for him, but she hasn't cooked for him. No,
she cooked for him in the lingerie. They laughed and joked. I ain't gonna say him lie. She cooked for him in the lingerie.
She did not say that.
She didn't say that, but it's written all over his face. He doesn't have to say a word. Right? It was written all over.
Yeah, they was blushing when it came. It was like, I'm not gonna really say nothing. You gonna say something?
He ain't gonna say a word. But again, like they said, they're not rushing. They're taking their time.
Right.
They're doing everything that they need to do to make it successful on their time frame and their timeline. You know, they're not pushing it. And she said she does want to be married again because she knows how that feels. Right. But he hasn't been married before, and so she's taking it at a pace and a level that he can understand and that he can go with her and grow with her. Now, why they mind you now whether camera with this again? I'm gonna say camera sake because other people say it's always editing. Doing this part, right? The faces of Cornelius, Camille, were like, wow. Wasn't halfway paying attention.
No, she's looking at her nails. They looking real plain faced. Matter of fact, not only was Camille looking plain faced, like she wasn't even looking in that direction. At least now, you know, we know how Zadia and Naeem feel. But at least, even if it was fake, you know, at least Zadia was like looking, paying attention. She was smiling.
I think she might actually be happy for him. I'm not even gonna knock that though. She might be.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that, but at least she looked like she was into the conversation and into the reunion still, like Camille and Cornelius. And I'm like, I'm not even understanding why Cornelius is even like that.
Because he can't do anything, allegedly. He cannot do anything else. Because if he does, he can hear a mouthful. I'm going to use allegedly. So I don't know. But again, if his girl, you know how it is when you got their friend. If you mad at somebody, and they mad at somebody, just because you mad at somebody, they really ain't got a beef with the person. But they mad at that person because you mad at it. And that's how it is.
I just know this much.
That's how it's formed.
It's not very Christ-like.
His body language is the key.
Yeah. I mean, their behavior just wasn't very Christ-like. It wasn't.
They're growing. They're growing believers. I'm gonna stop. Let me stop playing. I don't know. Let me stop.
No, I had to throw that in there because you know it's you know, you have to do whatever you can to live peaceably about, you know, with other men, women. You know what I'm saying? So maybe my peaceable is just to, and that's fine. You can ignore it. But I was like, you know, it's a way you don't pay attention where it's not so obvious that you're not paying attention. It was like it came across very rude. Yeah. Very rude. And as much smiling as Cornelius did, the whole like no teeth at all.
Yeah, I mean, see, again, you have to read the room and read the body language. And again, it might have been the fact that it was a long day already. From what some reports said, they started at 10 o'clock in the morning, didn't finish filming until like 12, 11 o'clock that night. 11, 12 o'clock at night. It's a long day. And it might have been the last segment. Don't know. But all I do know is what we saw on the television screen, the body language that was displayed was not conducive for the moment. Alright? Castmate are not happy for them, or not, you know, you hear a lot of things that we wanted to make it to the end in our relationship. To me, on that show, when I'm on that show, it doesn't matter if I was on that show, it didn't make it, it wouldn't have made a difference if I made it to the end or not. It would have made a difference if I found love. I don't care about the extra screen time or extra TV time. I don't even care about the money, because from what I'm hearing, the money ain't that much, right? It's enough, but it ain't that much. It ain't life-changing, because everybody that leaves here that we know of, that we've spoken to, still have their day job, right? So it's not life-changing money where it makes you leave your day job. Right. Or your profession. So what happens here is you have to be able to put that in perspective when you're on this. It's the goal of the show is to find love, not to make it to the end. So if you found love and she was your love, like they said, and from the beginning, who cares who else found love?
Right.
Right? I found my person. Vote me off tomorrow, because guess what? When we vote me off or you kick me off, we're still going to connect and we're still going to hook up. We're still going to be together, which they're doing. Well, so what's the big stink?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is not just. I mean, this is not the Cornelius and Camille breakdown, whatever. If you found him from day one, from week 2, week 3, he was yours. Week 4, week 5, she's yours, and you knew that you was nobody else's, right? And that you wasn't going to make it to the end. Roll out. Now, we guess they was expecting to do what Houston did, right? Because Houston did that. The Houston episode of Ready to Love. Everybody knew Joel. Season. Everybody knew Joel and Venetia was locked in. There was nobody else, right? They knew they were locked in, and there was nobody else. And they didn't vote them off. They could have easily voted them out, and they knew they was locked in, right? Everybody knew Jay and Joy. Well, kind of really not Jay and Joy, because there was winners that was thrown in the mix a little bit there. They kept them, so you had that mix. But we can definitely say Venetia and Joel was locked in solid, right? KG and Amber, we could definitely say at that point, they was locked in solid, right? So you could have easily knocked them out as well, too. But nobody, again, the agreement in Houston, second season, they had an agreement. And we weren't going to do that. The DC, it was fair game.
Yeah.
It was fair game.
And that's the way the show was actually set up. But yeah, that was the one thing that Zadi and Naeem pointed out. It was like, y'all didn't eliminate me. I left. Because the person I wanted to be with wasn't there no more. So I self-eliminated.
But they was going to eliminate him anyway.
Because the process of the show, you had no connections with anybody else. And if you have no connections, then they let you go. Which, that's why Tasia was like, for really?
Yeah.
I'm not ready to love, I ain't got no connections? Okay.
But all y'all try to holler at me now. But anyway, speaking of Tasia, if you're watching this on Saturday night, or you watching this when we drop this video on January the 23rd, Tasia will be sitting down with us at 6 p.m. So whenever you watch this, make sure you tune in as we speak with Tasia about the events from Reunion and her experience on Ready to Love.
All right, and then we saw them talking to Walter about his love triangle. I mean, there's other connections on it, but him and Sabrina and Mumin, and just like how it fell apart.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely fell apart. Because he stopped seeing Mumin and became exclusive with Sabrina. And then we all know how that ended, because when he gave Sabrina his heart, according to the show, according to him, what we seen, he was caught off guard, as he mentioned. He said, I caught off guard when she said that she wanted to move away from him.
Right.
That she wanted to go somewhere else. He was like, hold up. I've been giving her, I thought, I've been giving her #1 vibe, because even the other people in there were like, yo, it was surprised as well. You can see everybody else nodding their head, shaking like they were surprised as well that him and Sabrina didn't stay together, because they were so close and they had that bond, they had that connection that was there. And they cared like a grown man, and she did too. She was like, he just wasn't giving me what I was feeling.
Right, and the one thing she mentioned is she was like, I'm too old for Walter.
Oh yeah.
He likes 30-something-year-olds, and he was like, and she also said because the other thing is
she didn't get no age. She just said younger women.
Well, yeah, younger women, but somebody said something about 30-somethings but the whole thing is he was like, I want to have more children, and Sabrina's thing was she didn't want to have any more children. Yeah. But Sabrina did admit, and both of them said, the more we talked, I was like, well, maybe I will. But so Walter says, I don't prefer a younger woman, but it only makes sense because if I want to have children, it's more likely with somebody that's younger. Because it is hard. It is hard. For one, like Sabrina, she was happy with her one and done. She was happy with her daughter.
Right.
And then the older you get, Sabrina's what, 47?
45, something
like that. The older you get, the harder it is to get pregnant and maintain a pregnancy a lot of times. And so we started with Iesha. That was her thing, for why she said she didn't want to have any more kids. It was actually because, she had a hard time sustaining the pregnancy. So you run into that. But, you know, Sabrina was like, you know, I was feeling like I might want to. But they said they hadn't even talked since she, you know, ditched him basically on the bridge.
She ditched him when she let him down easy, when she dropped him, when she said he was not ready to love her at that time.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't want to say he ditched her, but, you know, they're still cordial. He gave her a hug and they whispered in each other's ear, and she was ready to embrace each other. So it looked like there's no animosity. Everybody was wanting them to maybe try to work it out and get it together. I don't think it's going to go down that road. I
wish it would, though, because they're so cute. That's the point that everybody made. It was like, you know, when you saw Walter and Sabrina, it was like, yeah, they go together. That matches, that flows, you know. Which
goes back to my other point, why you knew that it wasn't it became personal sometime when voting people off, because they were their only connection for the most part, right?
Mm-hmm.
After a certain part, Walter and Sabrina was their only connection, and yet they still stayed.
Mm-hmm.
There was somebody trying to get, at one point Sabrina was on the chopping block, but they brought her back in. She wasn't worse than the other person that they eliminated at that time. But, you know, it's what it is. But I'm glad. I do wish that they would try to work it out from just the sake of the scenes, sake of what we saw on television. But again, in the interviews that Sabrina and Walter had, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
It's not going to work out. So.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting, you know, too, that Mumin actually and Sabrina were expressing the same sentiment.
Yeah.
I feel like you got Sabrina as your number one. You're not giving me the same time and attention as her. And meanwhile, Sabrina's like, he wasn't giving me the time and attention that he was giving you. That's how I felt. So it's just, she didn't, and I think we talked about this in the actual episode. What he was giving, she didn't receive it as you were making me a priority.
Right.
And so same thing with Mumin.
Because he was getting the phone calls, doing all the extra stuff that they wanted him to do. I think, but if he was splitting time with both of them evenly, and he couldn't figure out if he was one or two, wasn't he doing his job?
For show wise, yeah.
For the show wise, right?
Absolutely.
For the show wise, he was doing his job because he had to make a decision. How come anyone doesn't say that when it comes down to I guess it depends on the woman, when it comes to Mumin, Frank, and Sydney, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you couldn't tell who's number one, who's number two. I could tell who Sydney's number one was because, again, Sydney, I said it, she took Phil to see her parents.
Right.
Frank saw the friends. To me, I don't know what's the instance behind that, but I always thought that was the key there. When she took Frank to see the parents, that was done deal. When Frank saw the friend.
Yeah.
When Phil went and saw the parents. So.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, but I appreciate them making up at the end. I thought it was sweet. It gave me a little glimpse of hope that maybe, but...
Just a little glimpse.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yes.
Where else do you want to go for this reunion? I mean, when Tommy wasn't there, we knew they were coming back to the DMV. We know that there was no other connections except for Tyrone trying to hook up with Tanika. Which I ain't mad at, right?
Yeah, before she went off, she was like, you know, I just want to ask, is it anybody that want to shoot their shot, you know, want to make some connections with people that was on there? And, you know, Tyrone was like, I mean, does the host discount? And Tanika was like, oh my.
She blushed.
Okay.
Hey, bruh.
And they was like, go for it. And Courtney spoke up, was like, he a good guy, he got a good job and everything. I mean.
The only shot not made is the one not taken. Right? You don't take it, you
can't make it.
You can't make it.
You can't make it at all.
Can't make it. So, hey, take it. You never know what will happen. He took a shot. Maybe he got a date. We never know.
Yeah. We got to touch on Courtney.
Oh, yeah. Courtney. You know, Courtney was there and she talked about her experience. That she came there looking for love. It wasn't necessarily all about the sex thing with Cornelius.
Right.
But it was looking for love. And she felt like when she left that she wasn't ready to leave. Not because there was somebody there for her, but she hadn't grown to the place that she needed to grow.
Right.
Where she thought she should be at by the time for her to go home. And, you know, one thing, you know, everybody's loving Courtney's hair because it was straight. Right? I don't know.
That's what I liked about when they played the scene of her, you know, she was like, oh gosh, look, she was like, yes, look at my hair, look at the...
She like, yeah, she like the natural, yeah. Like the natural bounce, right?
But yeah, they talked about, you know, the thing with Cornelius about, you know, not wanting to wait. Courtney was like, you know, I want to test drive that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she said it wasn't so much that she was trying to force him out of it, but it was just like, this is just I'm not waiting.
But that's his preference too. She's like, yo, if that's his preference, that's good. Right. That's not my preference. My preference is that if we will be here 2 years, I'm not going to wait 2 years.
And that's what she said. I'm not waiting for no 2 years.
I'm not going to wait for 2 years. We're going to try to figure something out and do this. But that's him. That's fine. We're not good there.
Yeah, she says, not like I was trying to do it the next day.
Right.
But I just knew I wasn't waiting for an extended period of time. Like, no.
Yeah, I'm not waiting for an extended period of time. I'm not waiting for 2 years to do this. So, I mean, again, she was very articulate. I'm not saying that in a bad way, but she was really able to express everything that was going on in that moment and to answer the question fully that was asked. And I think that was key there because, again, I don't think Cornelius was ready for Courtney. I don't think he could handle that type of, I don't want to say, because we stand away from the word aggressiveness, right? That type
assertive
of self-confidence. I don't think he can handle that type of self-confidence. And she's very self-confident from what I've seen.
But not that type.
Right, not that type. You know, but again, so it worked out for everybody. Because he has Camille, which, hey, by all means, wished him the best of luck. And I'm sure there's somebody out there for Courtney.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of guys probably sliding her deal.
But I like what you said. Because we find that over the seasons, that's what a lot of people say. I remember, who was my chef dude?
Edwin?
Yes. Edwin said that too. You know, I didn't find love, but I found myself.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the contestants figure that out, you know, as they're going through the show. Like Courtney said, I wasn't done discovering more about me and getting myself together. So I wanted to stay in the journey again and find more about yourself. Like, okay, what was I not doing right before that I could do different here? And it's somebody else's perspective that can say, that's not working. That's not working. You know, I think Corey got that. I'm hoping he did. He learned that from, like, the way you've been doing it, that ain't gonna work anymore.
And I think Tasia got it too, because that was her. She had her moment. She got up and she twirled, baby.
Did she?
She got up and she twirled. Let it all eyes on me. So again, there were some people who got their moment and got what they needed, even though they didn't find love on the show. And then, if anything else, you found friendship. Some people that you may not have known, you found friendship. So again, reunion part 2 wasn't as explosive as part 1. But yet it did serve a purpose. So we got Ready to Love DC coming up. Ready to Love DMV.
No, Potomac.
Well, they call it Potomac, DMV. You know, all that area, right?
Yeah, they said everybody's from. They going down a little bit to Potomac.
Yeah.
We said it's all pretty much the DMV.
Yeah, DMV. Just don't include Baltimore and the DMV. They not. It's a whole different story.
And you don't include all of Virginia.
Yeah, you don't include
DMV is the top part, Northern Virginia.
Where one street you can be in DC, next street you be in Maryland, and the next street over you be in Virginia. That whole little connection right there. We can break the whole DMV down a little bit later. But nonetheless, thank y'all for joining us for the Ready to Love reunion part 2.
Pretty uneventful.
Review. Pretty uneventful for most parts. But we will be here for Ready to Love DMV. Make sure you check out our Married at First Sight reviews as well. And some other little special videos that we may be dropping throughout the week. So we try to drop videos weekly for you. So if you want to catch up on what we're doing, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification, and don't miss any of our reviews. Thanks for joining us.
And make sure you tune in tomorrow for Tasia.
Right, January 23rd, Tasia. If you watch this after January 23rd, go ahead and just click on the link and watch the interview with Tasia. We also have Iesha coming up on Thursday, January 27th as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.